What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction. Back with some more punk, maybe some ska punk. I'm not exactly sure. Allow me to explain. We're going to listen to some Tsunami Bomb. So Tsunami Bomb is a group I saw in the mid-aughties. It had to have been in '04. On the disc is still in my other computer, so yeah, there should be a disc here. But the point is, this is an album they released in '04, The Definitive Act, which I believe is, yes, it's up there. And I saw them supporting some band. When I thought of the memory, it was like, oh, it was Propagandhi, surely. But I saw Propagandhi in the early 2000s on their tour for Today's Empire is Tomorrow's Ashes. I believe that was '01. So I'm pretty sure it couldn't have been Propagandhi. I'm thinking maybe Rise Against, maybe Anti-Flag, I'm not sure. But I saw them supporting some group, some other band that I was fond of. And they made an impression on me. It was like fast, it was rocking, they had a female vocalist who was like really energetic. So I would later learn that that was sort of like the second or like continually evolving variant of the band. Apparently they started in the late 90s in Northern California, I think like North Bay, Petaluma, I believe. They released 2 albums, the second of which was The Definitive Act. I forget the name of the first one. They were both on Kung Fu Records, which is a label started and run by 2 of the guys from the Vandals. I believe Escalante, and I forget which of the other members. Maybe Warren Fitzgerald? I'm not sure. Either way, yeah, they were on Kung Fu Records, and the singer, who went by the sort of pseudonym Agent M, I believe. I'm trying to remember her real name. It's like Whitehurst. I want to say Emily Whitehurst. But yeah, so they made an impression on me. I bought the album. I enjoyed it. It wasn't quite as like rip-roaring as the concert, which again, in the punk world, there are a number of examples where like bands play notably faster, sometimes like double time. It like, the vibe between their live shows and the studio albums is a bit different. Sometimes there's bands that play like, you'd swear they were like playing, you know, the studio version of the song. It's like that close, but yeah, so I enjoyed the album, but maybe it wasn't like as, it didn't make as big an impression on me as the live show did. Well, what I would later learn is that shortly after that, like a year later, '05, they disbanded, and they just weren't a band for a long time. In 2015 or something to that effect, 3 of the people from the original formulation of the group got together to do some like charity benefit, and they brought in a new singer. And then ultimately, I think a couple like years passed, and one of the original members who had come back, he left, but they brought in someone else. Basically, there's like 3 people from the original group plus a couple others that took part in a new album, 2019, on Jello Biafra, formerly of the Dead Kennedys, on his Alternative Tentacles label. And they did an album called The Spine That Binds. And my understanding is that like the original formulation of the group, it was sort of punk rock, but they had keyboards, and it was like, it was a bit different than your like normal, you know, late 90s punk group. And technically I think even the later, like the mid-aughties version, the version from Definitive Act, I think they technically use keyboards too. But when I heard them again, it was much more of like a, you know, rip-roaring punk rock type of sound. But basically, when I learned that in 2019, the original, or at least a few of the original members, plus 1 or 2 others, had come together to make a new album, and again, with a new female singer, I was very intrigued. But right when I bought that, it was, you know, like, shortly after that, the soccer league I was playing in stopped, and I was trying to get back into, like, doing video mixes, which, you know, a friend of mine had been helping me with. I was going through a number of aspects in my music, or a number of developments in my music life, that it just kind of sat on my shelf, and it just sat there and sat there. And then I started doing reactions, and when I started doing that, it was something that I was like, ooh, I got to get around to that. But, you know, there are a number of other groups that I've spent more time listening to: Propagandhi, Bad Religion, Dead Kennedys, Subhumans. So I wanted to start reacting with some of those bands, and this just kept sitting in the background. So here we are, I'm ready to react to it. I've never heard it. Again, it's on Alternative Tentacles, which is Jello Biafra's label, so on some level I'm thinking it's punk rock, and knowing that they have a history of playing punk rock, although again, maybe with a bit like less typical of a sound, again with keyboards and so on. So yeah, I expect this to be punk rock. I am pretty sure it's going to have a female vocalist, but not the one that I heard with them back in the day. And the first tune is called Tidal. So, I don't know, The Spine That Binds is the name of the album. There's a pirate skeleton on the cover. It does seem not unlike, or not entirely unlike, Voodoo Glow Skulls and their use of skull iconography, although here more in the like pirate vein, less in the like Day of the Dead vein. But yeah, Tidal, I would think maybe we're talking, pirate ships out on the sea. Maybe that is itself a metaphor for, let's say, scallywags and other vagabonds who take things through force on the sea of life. I'm not quite sure, again, having only heard an album of theirs many years ago with a different configuration of the group, and even then I'm not remembering too many of the songs directly. Which is to say, we can go back through the definitive act at some point, but given that I haven't heard this, and given that this is now like the modern, reformulated version of the group, I figure we'll start with this. Either way, let's hear what it is. This is Tsunami Bomb, the track is Tidal, and it's the first tune on their 2019 album, The Spine That Binds. Definitely pirate, maritime imagery. But I was going to say, it's almost like if you took a Matt and Kim song and made it more punk rock. Basically what I suspected. It's punk rock, but you can definitely hear some keyboards in there. It's a different female voice than the one that I remember, but it's cool. I like her vocal tone, and yeah, imagery of they are on the seas of life, and ultimately they're gonna go their own way and fly under their own flag, so to speak, even if others try to burn them asunder. So yeah, I do like the defiance of the tune. I like the the use of the visual and sort of, you know, historical, cultural aesthetic of, you know, piracy and the, like, you know, the golden age of piracy, if you will. So yeah, looking forward to the rest of the album. I'll just go through it in order. So when we come back, the next tune will be Naysayers, which already feels like a theme is emerging, you know, defying those who would seek to, you know, make you drown or, you know, blast you out of their way, but perhaps also defying the naysayers who, you know, say you can't do that, or you can't go your own way or fly under your own flag. So we'll see if that has any hint about it. Ultimately, you know, as with any new music, I will take a few listens and ultimately I will incorporate or imbibe? I'm not drinking them, I guess. But come to understand the lyrics more and more on successive listens. But yeah, ultimately, shout out to the band for coming back together. It's cool when, you know, you find out that an endeavor which happened many years ago, people are still around. I've been going through a number of like 80s groups that, you know, had significant periods where they weren't active but are now releasing material again. So it's cool to see in some different genres. So shout out to Tsunami Bomb and the, you know, sort of original members who've come back for a second go. And from what I understand, that was sort of the flavor of their original configuration, although it wasn't the version of the group that I heard. By the time I heard them, they were more like straight away kind of, you know, fast and rocking punk rock. Either way, cool opener. Interested to hear the rest. Do let me know what you think. And Luca, the pretzel cat, and I will see you next time. Peace.